What are karmas that need completion? When does the soul get liberated? At what degrees or stages on the path the soul gets liberated? And how can we speed up this process for a greater freedom? Karma means action. It can be good action or bad action. This body has its lifespan, its destiny to fulfill its purpose of serving the soul in this lifetime. The purpose of this body is not only pleasures and travels and food and family, reproduction. The primary purpose of the body is fulfilling the purpose of the soul, of its plan. And when this plan is either fulfilled or not, it is the decision of the soul when this body will drop. So the body has its karma, we can say, or destiny karma, it's called, of the body, that it will surely be dropped and released. Now, the same way as we look at emotional body, etheric body, the lower mental body, they also have their destiny, their karma. They serve a purpose. So each vehicle of consciousness has its own purpose. Your higher self, which is above the lower bodies, is managing the lower bodies until they fulfill their purpose or they expire. So essentially, the karma is, in the lowest sense, the actions that are accumulated with the physical body. For example, if you had physical injuries, then let's say a problem with your knee. So every time you walk, you will feel some pain in the knee. This is the karma of the body. So the same way, when one damages the emotional body, there are emotional issues, traumas. Etheric body accumulates all sorts of residues and issues. The lower mental body as well. So when we clear these lower bodies, we become freed from the forced physical reincarnation cycle. However, as we go higher, let's say now you are free from the physical reincarnation cycle. And of course, this is already a great liberation, that no longer you'll have to be born again in physical and be a child and undergo mandatory programming called the schooling system, only then later to awaken to your natural talents, creative talents, and then at some point to have a spiritual awakening so that you reconnect with your higher essences and you continue your higher purpose apart from mundane living. So for the soul itself, the physical life, reincarnation is quite a waste of time in many ways, because The soul waits for the moment until the spiritual awakening happens. Only then it continues its true growth. So as we look at higher vehicles of consciousness, let's say you are in the 5D with your higher self, your light body, it still has its karmas. In other words, it has interactions wherever it is placed in the higher cosmos. Well, the higher self now is focused on this incarnation. So it is connected to this earth. It is interacting on a higher plane still with this earth, with this solar system, with the beings here and now. And if you are in the New Age and in the star seed movement, we can call it, even if you get to Pleiades or any other star system, it is also a system with cycles. And as you go there, even though life is much better, but you're still bound by the cycles, by what's going on there. You make new friends, you start attaching to them. You fall in love with the beautiful new beings and you fall into attachment to them. So in other words, then you become bound by a subtle karma or this particular plane of existence. Even though it's not fully forced, but you still don't have much control, even at these higher vehicles of consciousness, like your higher self, for example, because let's picture that you now are freed from the earth and you are in one of those wishful other star systems. What happens is that life is longer, hundreds of years or thousands of years. There's still a form, a certain matter, or like a plasma body, energetic body, and it also expires after these hundreds of years or a couple of thousands of years, although it can be renewed, but sometimes things happen and it may experience a sudden dissolution or death, so to speak, but it's looked at differently. And one finds out that they're back, reborn again where they left off. And then you realize that I always wished to be in the star system, and now something happened and I'm back again, exactly where I left off. So you are bound to that particular vehicle of consciousness to which you are familiar with and the karmas it has. So essentially, even if we go higher up, let's say into the I am presence, the I am presence is even higher up in cosmology and it's the cosmic being. It interacts at now more densities. It can shift densities much better. And the I am presence is also energetic body and it is bound by what it interacts with. And what happens that as the I am presence, for example, tries to help out some higher selves below, due to these interactions, it also gets entangled to a certain extent. So karma is action, meaning causality, meaning interaction. Now one will ask how one gets liberated And the soul itself, where does the soul fall into this game? Well, the soul has also many layers. There is what is commonly known as soul on earth. It is actually only a thread of a soul. So every average person is connected via a thread to their soul. We can call it a soul spark or a thread. Now, when the soul completes its activities as a higher self, then rises up, it projects into the higher self. So then it's dependent on the higher self. It projects into the I am presence. Some spiritual traditions call it the soul, like an astral soul, the soul in the biophysical universe, the soul in the astral or subtle universe, the soul in the cosmic universe. Because in these different major regions, the soul projects into the vehicles of consciousness through which it interacts. And the soul being the source for these lower vehicles of consciousness beneath it. So of course, as one completes the lessons and in other words, actions and interactions in the biophysical universe, the soul liberates itself at that level. Then the soul has other vehicles of consciousness in the subtle regions. And once it completes all the actions and interactions there, it liberates it from that region. So now you're getting a picture how the soul gets liberated up and up. Now, our primary goal is to reconnect with the soul, but then the question, at which region do you reconnect with your soul? Yeah, so that's first question. And as you reconnect with the soul, many confuse the higher self with the soul in the first spiritual awakenings. Then as one awakens to a higher region, again, there is confusion that that's my soul and now I'm free. And yet again, not seeing the big picture. So in essence, now you understand that in each major region, the soul can get liberated. And essentially, this whole universe is called the lower universe. Then it belongs to a larger super universe, which consists of many, many lower universes. And these are literally universes. They're not separate as such. And this universe, for example, with all its dimensions up to the womb of the universe, it's like an egg, a size of an egg in a larger super universe, which is way, way bigger. So actually, it is known that there are 700 quadrillion universes, 700 quadrillion universes, and these are larger universes. So this universe is part of that one of 700 quadrillion larger universes, and all of these 700 quadrillion universes, some say that they are part of the 7 super universes, and these 7 super universes with the lower and lower universes are part of one grand universe, master universe, which is the divine, actually, the true divine region in absolute perfection. So liberation is a big question. Karma is basically action, good, bad, interaction, cause, effect. attachment. Also, desire influences karma, because if you desire for the highest love, perfection, light, divine, this is the desire that will support you. If you desire to fall in love with someone and just, go to another star system, it will only get you to that point. So desire, the higher desire, can liberate you much, much more. In essence, desire is not bad. The universes were created via a desire. A desire, it's a wish or a divine will. So essentially, at what degrees or stages does the soul get liberated? There are different now tracks that you can take. One track that we take is coming to full consciousness ASAP, as soon as possible. This is the highway path that we pierce through the major obstacles, the major roadblocks on the way, so that we can reconnect with that light of the self, the light of the full consciousness. And when you pierce through the major obstacles, blockages, so you reconnect with the full consciousness, and now you have access. But that doesn't mean that everything is resolved, because that's not that fast at all. So coming to full consciousness, of course, it's the goal number one, because without that, you have no access to this light divine, to the source, to the self. So coming to full consciousness can be quite a quick journey, which does require dedication and some hard work to pierce through major obstacles on the path. So now once you do come to full consciousness, and now we have 15 to 20 people at full consciousness in our community. If you are very close to it as well, like in the late 900s. So once this goal number one is achieved, you have access to the light of the self. And then you will ask, what about the soul, liberation, and your vehicles of consciousness? That's where the work continues. That's where they can see that the grand scheme of things is not as simple and easy. And that's why there are many gurus and teachers at various degrees of advancement in this grand scheme of the universes and super universes and the divine region itself. So we call it a general advancement. And that goes beyond 1,000 into infinity. We have a whole chart. We selected spiritual teachers and their levels of advancement, where you may see that. So essentially, this advancement is correlating to completions on the lower planes. So let's say if you're advanced at 2000 on the scale, then you already have completed many of the actions or karmas or interactions on the biophysical universe plane and even the subtle universe plane. And you might then enjoy interacting at a cosmic level, which is, of course, amazing. And it has its own ups and downs, so goods and bads. There are higher and higher levels of advancement where one essentially attains a certain mastery and certain completion of these karmas, interactions, attachments. Therefore, that advanced being then becomes a teacher or a guiding light, a guide for others to assist on their path in usual cases. But some beings maybe are more reserved, they maybe prefer to continue working on themselves. So there are various scenarios that take place over there as well. So in a big sense, we may understand that completion of karma, in essence, it is interaction via actions, via what you resonate with. And to give you a simple example that you all can relate with is that if you remember your challenges 5 years ago, you have completed many of them. Like certain feelings, emotions are no longer touching you. So it means that you have completed these lower karmas, lower interactions, in other words. Yes, and you're done with that. You have completed these denser, lower emotional challenges and interactions. And now you have your current ones. The same way in the next 1 or 2 or 5 years, the current issues and interactions will also seem like something of the past, and you will be interacting with something much higher, much more beautiful and more complex and more bigger at the same time. Your capacity will increase to handle things at a larger degree and deeper, and at the same time higher vibration and deeper access and larger capacity sense. Now, generally, once you come to the divine love union or to full consciousness, that's where then we start focusing on your soul completions. So there are certain advanced ways and techniques to speed up the process, how you can be again on a highway of completions. Now, it's very important, the word completions. Not necessarily that you have to resolve all the problems and challenges, but in essence, you withdraw or you discharge the resonance with these lower energy fields. So if some of these things, let's say, there are electromagnetic energy fields, so you discharge your interest in those specific electromagnetic fields, for example. And that way you complete it. Sometimes you need action, like even a physical action to complete it. Sometimes you just do a specific meditation and it's dropped and you're done with it. So essentially, to summarize in a large sense, that when you come closer to full consciousness, then since that goal number 1 is achieved, then we start looking at what would be your way, the quickest way, or your optimal way, what you choose to work on completions of all your lower vehicles of consciousness, your lower interactions. And again, it varies from person to person, but some people speed along very well. Some people take it slowly, and everyone has their pace. So this is an overview and understanding that the karma and liberation is not only in relation to Earth, but it is also in relation to the whole biophysical universe Because if you go to Sirius or Pleiades or Arcturus or whatever constellation there is, you will be bound by those cycles over there. When you leave the biophysical universe, you come to the subtle universe, to the subtle region, which is again divided into various degrees. And then you interact as your higher self vehicle, your vehicle of your light body. And there too, you interact accordingly. It is known that this universe is one of the, let's say, troubled ones. It's one of the universes where a primal anomaly occurred, which means the fall of angels. And this universe is a bit a troubled one. And when we leave this particular universe, we open up to a grander super universe, which is much, much vast, way, way bigger. And that's where no longer negative force exists. The negative polarity doesn't exist in the larger universe. The larger universe is way older than 14 billion years old. Some say it's 20 trillion years old. There are various, again, depends on the angle, how one looks at it. So it's much, much bigger, much, much larger, and it doesn't have anymore a negative polarity. So we're in a unique situation here. And that means that your soul is pretty brave. And of course, since you are all spiritual awakened beings, so you are very advanced souls, in other terms, because in the larger universe, not many would choose to come into a smaller universe with a negative polarity. So what does it mean? That most likely you were not that stupid as a soul. So that means that actually your soul is quite advanced and very brave. And it wanted to learn some very tough lessons, but for a good reason. So when you do get out of this universe into a larger super universe, you will be very famous as a soul. Yeah, so basically you're all celebrities in the larger super universe. So if we put in the context of the divine region, which is absolute perfection, and the super universes below the divine, then there is a question where your soul is in relation to it, because maybe from the divine perspective, your soul is a bit, let's say, less evolved. So it went into the super universe and other lower ones to gain some experience in terms of divine. And those souls who attain a certain mastery of the divine, those souls are, well, truly ancient, truly old. And some of you are refamiliarizing with the ways of divine and regaining your access of how things are there.